Hello, everyone. Okay, this is Olivia coming at you with a solo episode. So I wanted to do a solo episode because I am obsessed, literally obsessed with the law of assumption and Neville Goddard. If you are not familiar with either of those things, the law of assumption or Neville Goddard, kind of one of the most influential spiritual and manifestation gurus out there. I'm excited to dive into that and talk a little bit more and how both Neville Goddard and the law of assumption have literally changed my life so much. So I'm excited to get into it.
Welcome to the Aligned and Divine podcast. I'm your host, Mercedes Smith.
And I'm your host, Olivia Thomas. We created this podcast to have a safe space for you to share, connect, relate, and ultimately to grow.
The goal of this podcast is to share with you the strategy and mindset necessary to align with your highest self so you can massively uplevel your business, your relationships, your self-concept, and step into your innate divinity to raise the consciousness of the entire planet.
We want you to know that you are always aligned and divine. If you are not familiar with the law of assumption, it essentially means that whatever you assume to be true about every situation, about people, about how you're going to be treated, about what people are thinking about you, whatever you are assuming to be true is what is going to be true. Neville Goddard is a spiritual guru who really coined that term, the law of assumption, and really talked about how you can manifest anything you want by changing your assumptions about what you think about those situations and what you're trying to manifest. I pulled some Neville Goddard quotes that I wanted to talk about on this episode. So I'll start with this one. This is by Neville Goddard. If you will assume your desire and live there as if it were true, no power on earth can stop it from becoming a fact. Okay. This Neville Goddard and law of assumption have changed my life because I was journaling a couple years ago now. I was journaling about how a lot of times I had been in this survival mode, worrying about the future, kind of preparing myself for the worst case scenario in every situation. And I realized that in every situation, we can either assume that it's going to go good or we can assume that it's going to go bad, right? When we're thinking and putting our focus on the outcome of a situation, we can either think, yes, it's going to go in my favor, or no, it's going to go bad, and prepare. It's almost like, I know when we're thinking about the worst case scenario or thinking about the bad outcome, it feels like we are preparing for it. So then we won't be as disappointed when it happens. We can actually handle it when it happens. But I promise you, the idea of what you assume to be true actually happens, right? So what you are focusing on expands. That's another huge quote that changed my life, because what you focus on expands. So if you are thinking about the outcome of the situation and you are assuming that it's going to go negatively or go bad, then that's most likely what's going to happen. Okay. So, but if you are changing your thought process to force yourself to think about the actual outcome that you want, the best case scenario, and letting yourself get your hopes up and focusing on what you actually want to happen, I swear it is such a game changer. I'm not kidding. 95% of the time, if not more, what you're focusing on actually happens. So if you're thinking about the best case scenario, that's actually going to happen, right? So if you are assuming that it's going to go in your favor, then that's what's going to come into your reality. When I realized that, I remember the exact evening that I was journaling and thinking about that, I told myself, okay, you know what? From now on, I'm going to really be intentional and force myself to think about the situation happening in the way that I actually want it to happen. And my life has changed drastically from this. Another quote. This is kind of talking about how the world is a mirror, right? So the world, again, And this ties into the law of assumption, because the world is always mirroring back to you your own beliefs and your own assumptions about life and about how things are going to go or how people are going to treat you. Again, there's another quote. It is not what you want that you attract. You attract what you believe to be true. Whatever you are letting yourself believe is going to happen will actually most likely happen. Sometimes, of course, it's not exactly always the case. Maybe the universe has something better for you, or you need to learn a lesson, or you need to up level a little bit. But if you are actually, for the majority of the time, if you're letting yourself get your hopes up and actually letting yourself think about what you want and force yourself to think about the best case scenario and the outcome you actually want, it truly happens so much. You have a choice in every situation on what you're going to focus on, and what you focus on expands. So if you are focusing on what you actually want, then that is going to come into your reality. Again, this idea has literally changed my life so much. I got my one and only tattoo. I want more tattoos, but the one tattoo I've gotten so far literally means what if, because that's what I was journaling about that night a couple of years ago. I was thinking about what if in many situations, right? So what if XYZ happens? XYZ can be, let's say, the good scenario, right? So what if XYZ happens? What if what I want actually happens, and letting myself focus on that? Like in every situation, it can go good or it can go bad. So you can force yourself to focus on the what if in the positive scenario. I think that, I've gotten extremely good at this because I started small. I think that's a very tangible, again, starting place that you can do is kind of start with small scenarios and small situations. Maybe it's a meeting at work or that you're nervous about, and you're like, oh, what if my boss doesn't like this? What if I get made fun of? What if whatever? Force yourself to be like, okay, actually, you know what? What if my boss loves this? What if it goes really well? Okay. Or if you're going on a date, right? Instead of thinking worst case scenario, like, oh, what if they don't like me? What if it's awkward? Or da, 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 da. You can force yourself to be like, you know what? What if it actually goes amazing? Right? What if it actually goes better than I could have expected? What if we vibe really well and they want to go on a second date with me and it's amazing, right? You can force yourself to think about the outcome that you actually want and assume things are going to go in your favor. Another way that you can get better at doing this is meditating. I talk about meditating so much because I think that it is the key to all of life's problems. Truly. Meditating, how I describe it and how it has helped me, has literally it trains your brain to be able to it trains your brain to be able to notice your thoughts, right? When you are meditating, you are sitting there trying to think about nothing, right? You're sitting there, closing your eyes, focusing on your breath. The point of meditating is not to not think about anything. Thoughts will always come. Like I've meditated every day for the last 2.5, 3 years, every day, except maybe sometimes when I'm traveling, but 95% of days. I've meditated every day, right? So I've gotten I do this all the time. I meditate for 15 minutes, but I started with 3. You can start small, start with 3 minutes, move up to 5, move up to 10, move up to 15, whatever. The point is not to not think about anything. I still have thoughts come in every time I meditate, multiple times I meditate. But the point is to notice your thoughts. The point is not to not think. The point is to notice when you are having a thought and then go back to your breath. Notice the thought, release it, go back to your breath. Okay. So it's like training a muscle. Like training a muscle to be able to notice your thoughts, right? So if you are meditating every day and you are getting better at noticing your thoughts and being able to redirect your thoughts, that is such a powerful tool for using the law of assumption and focusing on the outcome you actually want. Because if you are thinking about a situation, or you start getting worried about a situation, and you notice you're having these thoughts that come in of like, oh, what if things go wrong? What if they don't like me? What if I get fired? You're able to notice those thoughts, or even just negative thoughts that come to you throughout the day, like negative, degrading thoughts that, of course, we all have. We all have to be more mindful and notice these negative thought patterns that are coming to us, right? So meditating helps you get so much better at controlling and noticing your thoughts and redirecting them. I sometimes, when I think about my negative thoughts that come in, and I have a hater thought, like I'm not good enough, or I don't look good, or this is going to go bad, they don't like me, whatever. I think about it. I kind of think about grabbing that thought up in my mind, grabbing it, putting it into like a little ball shape, and then making it leave my brain. Like, okay, thank you. I noticed that thought. Got it. Thanks for, I know it's my ego trying to keep me prepared, trying to keep me safe, trying to, our ego is, our ego is where these thoughts come from. And these thoughts of, again, it's just trying to help you stay alive and stay accepted, right? And stay safe. Our ego is trying to keep us safe. So it has these thoughts of like, oh, well, what if, don't say that. Don't go talk to that person. Don't even go on the date. What if they don't you? Don't go for your dreams. Don't share your artwork. Don't speak your mind because you're not going to be accepted. It's our ego trying to keep us safe. But when you realize that those are just your ego's thoughts, you don't have to listen to them, right? So get that thought up into a ball. Thank you, ego. Don't need you right now. Release. And another extremely important part and benefit of the law of assumption is when you are assuming things are going to go your way, you are automatically raising your vibration, right? If you are assuming that it's the best case scenario and you are actually going to get what you want, and that date is going to go amazing, or that meeting with work is going to go amazing, or of course you're going to get the job, you're going to get the raise, of course things are going to work in your favor, and you are assuming the feeling of getting your manifestation or a situation going your way, you are raising your vibration, right? I talk a lot about raising your vibration and matching the frequency of the reality that you want. I think that is essentially kind of the key to manifesting, is literally you have to match the frequency of the reality that you want. Einstein talks about reality. All you have to do is match the frequency of the reality that you want. Everything in the universe is energy, is frequency. Think in terms of frequency. So when you are assuming the best case scenario, you are raising your vibration. That way, that's another benefit of, you might as well let yourself get your hopes up and actually think about what you want, because you're raising your vibration. Even if you happen to not get it, maybe the universe has something better for you coming, or maybe you're not thinking even big enough, right? Maybe something better is coming. Or you need to learn a lesson, or maybe you're not supposed to get it quite yet. Maybe it's coming in the future when you're more prepared, whatever. If you are letting yourself get your hopes up, you are moving your vibration in a good direction. So that way, better things are going to be coming to you no matter what. Even if it's not exactly what you want, something is going to be coming your way, something better. You are becoming a vibrational match to a better reality. What if everything works out? How would that feel? Feels pretty damn good, right? It feels pretty damn good. And how you feel and what you're thinking about creates your reality. So take it from me. I think I'm keeping this short and sweet. Take it from me. Do not worry about being disappointed. When you realize that being disappointed, I say this on my TikTok, being disappointed isn't really real. It's just kind of a made up feeling that we have in this society, whatever, being disappointed. Oh, I didn't get what I wanted. Okay, something better is coming. Let yourself get your hopes up. let yourself want what you actually want. Assume things are going to go in your favor. Assume that everything that's happening to you is happening in your favor, because it is. The universe is truly only here to give us what we want, and what it thinks that we want is what we're focusing on. The universe gives us what we focus on. So focus on what you actually want. And I know it's hard to start, but maybe start small, get better and better at it. You can start with a small situation. I promise you're going to start being so surprised of like, oh shit, this stuff actually works, and you will get better and better at it. And then life. Yeah. I mean, that's truly how I feel. I know that this stuff works. And I still struggle with some things, like big things. It's hard to let yourself get your hopes up, but I know that it works. So I have to force myself to think about the outcome that I actually want and not be worried about being disappointed, because I literally know in my depths of my bones and my body that this stuff works, and what you focus on expands. So focus on what you actually want. Use the law of assumption to assume that it's actually going to go the way that you want it to go. Okay. Love you all. Thanks for listening. Please share with a friend if you're interested, or write a review. I'm really excited about this podcast and continuing to grow. And thank you so much for spending your time here. If you're still listening here at the end, seriously, I know how important everyone's time is, and there's a million podcasts to listen to. So I really genuinely hope that this helps you, grasp the concept of the law of assumption, and helps you realize that you are worthy of creating the life that you want, and it's possible for you. Okay. Love you. Bye.